Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we make sense of the numbers that shape our world. And sometimes those numbers are as tricky as a magician's trick. Get ready to dive into some serious business maneuvers. Today we're dissecting a filing that could tell us a lot about how Spirit Aviation is navigating some really tough times. It is a story of debt, restructuring, and trying to stay airborne. So grab your metaphorical hard hats because this is going to be an interesting ride. And before we get started, if you like getting these clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of corporate filings, please hit that subscribe button. Also join our Discord community, it is linked in the description below. It is a great place to discuss these insights and more. Alright, let's get straight into it. We are looking at a filing from Spirit Aviation Holdings Incorporated, and the date here, the 16th of December 2025, tells us this is a current report, meaning something important just happened or was just announced. And boy, did something happen. The big news swirling around this report is about an amendment to their debtor in possession, or DIP credit agreement. Now, what does that mean in plain English? Think of it like this Spirit Aviation, for reasons we might cover later, ended up in bankruptcy protection. Filing for Chapter 11 means they are trying to reorganize their business and debts. And they can continue to operate while doing so. To keep the planes flying and the business running, they needed to borrow money. That borrowing is governed by this DIP credit agreement. So, on the 15th of December 2025, Spirit Aviation, or rather the entity called the DIP borrower, along with the lenders providing them with this crucial bankruptcy financing, made some changes to that agreement. This is like renegotiating the terms of your emergency loan while you are already in a tough spot. One of the key changes here is about how they have to manage a big chunk of the money they just borrowed. They've got to set aside $50 million of this new loan money, and they can't touch it until they hit one of several specific milestones. These include showing the lenders that someone is interested in buying the company or a part of it, or agreeing on a solid plan to get out of bankruptcy, or finding a way to get new financing after they leave bankruptcy. Essentially, this $50 million is a security blanket for the lenders, making sure Spirit has options and isn't just burning through cash without a clear path forward. And about that loan, they've decided to borrow the full $100 million that was available to them. This is not insignificant. It means they're taking on more debt even while they're already in bankruptcy. This shows a clear need for liquidity, meaning they need cash to keep operations going. They also have to provide much more detailed financial reporting. Daily reports on their cash levels and weekly reports on money owed to them by customers. This is a sign that the lenders want to keep a very close eye on every dollar. Imagine being under a microscope, your incoming and outgoing money being watched with extreme scrutiny. This level of reporting is typical when lenders are feeling a bit nervous and want to ensure their loans are protected. On top of the loan agreement itself, they also had to amend the court order that originally allowed them to get this loan. This is called the final DIP order. Think of it as getting the judge's permission for the loan to start with, and now they've gone back to the judge with the lender's agreement to make some tweaks to that permission. One of these tweaks involves something called administrative claim carve-out claims. Without getting too technical, these are basically claims that get paid before other debts when a company goes bankrupt. The amendment puts a cap on these specific claims, limiting them to $80 million. This is important because it helps manage the overall cost of the bankruptcy process and provides more certainty for the lenders about how much money might be available for other things. It is important to note that while they've filed this amended order, it still needs the bankruptcy court's final approval. So, while they've done their part, the judge still has the final say. This section basically just points back to the earlier discussion about the amended credit agreement. It is confirming that this new or changed loan is a direct financial obligation for Spirit Aviation. They are directly responsible for paying it back. This part is all about making sure information is shared fairly with everyone. They also put out a press release on the 15th of December to announce this loan agreement amendment. This is a standard practice to make sure the public and investors are informed about significant company events. Now, this is a critical part of any corporate filing. Like many companies, Spirit Aviation is including a section that warns about forward-looking statements. What does that mean? It means they are making statements about what they expect to happen in the future, but they are also clearly stating that things could turn out very differently. These are educated guesses based on current information. They talk about their expectations for continuing to operate normally, their plans to transform the company, and the whole Chapter 11 bankruptcy process. These are all things that are uncertain. This section is a laundry list of all the things that could go wrong. They highlight the risks of the bankruptcy process itself, like not getting court approval for important steps, the extra costs involved, how the bankruptcy affects everyone invested in the company, how long this whole thing might take, and even the risk of losing key employees because of all the uncertainty. They also mention risks related to their stock being traded on over-the-counter markets, which is often a sign of financial distress for a company. This is a very direct warning that things are not going smoothly and the future is highly uncertain. And this next part is a direct warning to investors. They are explicitly telling people that buying or trading their stock right now is extremely risky. The price of the stock might not reflect what their actual investment will be worth after all is said and done in the bankruptcy. And here is the kicker. They expect shareholders could lose a lot of money, possibly all of their investment. This is a very blunt statement about the dire situation for shareholders. This final section just lists the documents that are attached to this report, like the amendment to the loan agreement and the press release. It is like the table of contents for the supporting evidence. And then we have the signatures confirming that the right people at Spirit Aviation Holdings Incorporated have reviewed and authorized this report. So, what does all of this really mean for Spirit Aviation? They're clearly in a deep financial hole, needing a significant $100 million just to keep the lights on and operations going under bankruptcy protection. The lenders are being very cautious, locking down a large portion of that new money and demanding extensive daily and weekly financial reports. This amendment shows they are trying to meet the lenders' demands to keep the financing flowing, which is essential for survival. The fact that they have to amend the court order highlights the complexity and ongoing negotiations in their bankruptcy case. The mention of administrative claim carve-out claims and a cap on them signals that managing the costs and payouts within the bankruptcy process is a major focus. The repeated warnings about forward looking statements and the explicit caution to shareholders about the speculative nature of trading their stock are the clearest indicators of the company's precarious position. They are not sugarcoating the potential for significant losses for investors. Looking at the bigger picture, Spirit Aviation is fighting for its life. They are trying to restructure their debt and operations in a very hostile environment. The new financing is a lifeline, but it comes with strict conditions. The success of their reorganization hinges on court approvals, successful negotiations with creditors, and potentially finding a buyer or a viable exit strategy from bankruptcy. The risks are immense, and the path ahead is anything but certain. They are essentially hoping for a miracle to avoid a complete collapse or a substantial loss for all involved. Alright, that is our breakdown of Spirit Aviation's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think they can fly out of this bankruptcy? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps the channel, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate finance. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you next time.